to Have I Got News for You? I'm Roy Wood Jr. In the news this week. Republicans show how far they'll go to support Trump's agenda. As car prices soar, Americans turn to alternate modes of transportation. Leaked video offers a new look at Trump's last known meeting with Putin. Stephen Miller unveils new ICE uniforms. And finally, before we get started tonight, a network-mandated disclaimer.
CNN does not hate our country. That should go without saying.
And to prove CNN doesn't hate you, they're bringing us back for another season. We will see you in the fall. Yes, indeed. Okay, let's get to it. On Michael's team tonight, she's a CNN political commentator and currently a co-host at The View, who has played several roles in the first Trump administration. We'll ask her why she didn't apply for the second time around. Please welcome Alyssa Farah Griffin.
Yeah.
And joining Amber, he is a comedy legend and the only man besides Samuel L. Jackson who can pull off a backwards Kangol. Give it up for George Wallace.
Thank you.
But before we get started, quick fun fact about George Wallace. His mama was one of the first Doge cuts. They cut 600 pounds from the budget. Let's get into...
Hold on. What the hell you laughing at?
I'm sorry,
You're supposed
right.
to be on my team.
Yeah, hey, fuck you, dude.
Your mama's so fat when she gets on the elevator, oh, it's going down. And I did meet your mom at the airport. She got a job sniffing luggage. Come on.
Now for the biggest stories of the week. Amber and George, watch the clip and tell me what's the story.
Okay.
Okay, so this lady's happy because she's getting out of here. Oh, but a lot of planes have been canceled. Oh, because no one wants to come to America anymore. Ooh. And our tourism has dropped because word on the street is we are bad.
Correct. The story is the U.S. economy is set to lose billions of dollars in revenue this year as tourism drops and more people boycott U.S. products, which is why many Americans are looking at the world and asking,
how come you don't want me, man?
Why doesn't anyone want to come to America and play anymore?
There's an idiot, and I'll just leave it right there. That's what
Maybe that. The uncertainty of things. We've heard of cases where there's a German national who's detained even though he's here just traveling on a visa, coming as a tourist to the U.S. These are the kind of things that if you're like, I want to go on holiday to New York, I want to get a nice slice and see a Broadway show, not worth it if you're worried about having some kind of altercation with ICE.
But the hotel prices in New York, so much more expensive than just staying in an ICE detention center.
I mean, you should work for Trump. That's actually not bad spin compared to what I've heard from the White House.
The biggest immigration story right now is the case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the Maryland man who was sent to an El Salvador prison last month. Question, what reason did the White House originally give for deporting Kilmar Abrego Garcia?
He was the leader of a gang. Is that true?
Yes, she's right.
The White House called it, quote, an administrative error, but also claimed he was a gang member.
See?
But Garcia's deportation has become a huge liability for the White House. Who floated the notion of charging the Trump administration with contempt?
Some judge, I know this judge, there's a crazy name, DeFragaro or something like that. Fargo de Chow, something like that.
He's close.
Black people will just take a name.
Listen.
You know the Judge Cheesecake Factory, you know the one with the cheesecake.
And the cheesecake, that's a lie. Cheesecake Factory, that ain't no damn factory, that's a restaurant.
Since our favorite federal judge, James Boasberg, seen here sending a telepathic message to the X-Men. This week, Boasberg issued a 46-page ruling saying, quote, probable cause exists, and that he'd start criminal contempt proceedings if they don't give recent deportees a chance to defend themselves.
Does it matter if those words aren't backed by actions from the courts? If they do, then we're in uncharted territory.
How I yearn for charted territory.
Right?
What happens if Boasberg says, y'all are in contempt?
Yeah.
Then what happens?
The courts have some powers. Maybe they want to send some U.S. Marshals down to get this gentleman and show that they're willing to overstep the executive branch.
Wait, they're going to send U.S. Marshals to El Salvador?
I'm just saying, somebody's got to flex and be like, well, we're equally powerful too, and we haven't seen a lot of that yet.
It is complicated, but it is law and order. That's why when you watch the show, they show you the Ice-T part and the Sam Waterston part.
Correct.
So you can understand what's going on. Now, how is Trump revising his current stance on immigration?
He said, I agree. I was mistaken. I've heard you. Let's bring them all back. And you know what? Let's give them 40 acres and a mule.
Not before us. Trump responded reasonably to requests by Republicans by threatening to deport American citizens too. Here he is praising El Salvador President Nayib Bukele and his prison system.
Could we use it for violent criminals, our own violent criminals?
I call them homegrown criminals.
Yes.
I mean, the
homegrowns.
The ones that grew up and something went wrong and they hit people over the head with a baseball bat. We are looking into it and we want to do it. I would love to do that.
As soon as that interview was over, Trump was like, deport her. After days of trying to access the prison where Garcia is being held, Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen was able to meet with his constituent and posted proof of life. El Salvador President Bukele also posted about it, but people noticed one big difference between the two photos.
They did not drag this man from an El Salvadorian prison, put him in a Kmart shirt, and put a margarita in front of him.
By the way, the Trump administration and we, the U.S. government, are paying to house people in these El Salvador prisons.
Wasn't even a frozen margarita. That's the thing that's driving me crazy.
Didn't look good.
Here's Van Hollen on what he calls Margarita-Gate.
As we were talking, one of the government people came over and deposited 2 other glasses on the table. They look like margaritas.
He also added more crazy details that people didn't even know.
They actually wanted to have the meeting by the side of the pool, right, in the hotel. They want to create this appearance that life was just lovely for Kilmar.
If I'd been in a concentration camp for a couple of weeks and they were like, hey, you want to go poolside? I'd be like, yeah. Give me a floaty. Bring the margarita out. I'll take a grilled cheese. I would do the whole thing.
That's your order? But to Amber's point, isn't this complete?
Yes, grilled cheese and margarita is my order.
Are in El Salvador. It's complete mixed mess.
With a side of applesauce.
But do you think that showing Garcia relaxing at a continental breakfast-ass table in a hotel is an attempt by our government to put everybody at ease that deportation not so bad? See, you
That's
get
exactly
a waffle
what it
and you
is.
get a margarita. It's okay.
But it's worth making the point that whether it's in a terrorist center in El Salvador or it's at a continental breakfast in El Salvador, none of these people should be in El Salvador regardless. It doesn't matter. If they had put him in a Ritz-Carlton in San Salvador, none of these men received due process. That's the whole point.
How did the Supreme Court vote on whether or not the U.S. government should bring Garcia home?
They all said bring him home.
Not Clarence Thomas.
Even Clarence Thomas.
But Samuel Alito said this?
Yes.
Mr. Brett Kavanaugh said this?
Even Brett Kavanaugh.
Neil Gorsuch said such a thing?
Especially Neil Gorsuch.
Oh, I got the vapors.
Unanimous support from the U.S. Supreme Court for Garcia's return. In a surprising 9-0 vote, the court said that the state must facilitate the return of Abrego Garcia. What phrase might someone use to describe this predicament between these branches of government?
Sometimes you get the elevator, sometimes you get the chef.
Let's hear it.
This is a constitutional crisis. I don't think there's any other way to put it.
It's a constitutional crisis, essentially. We're moving towards DEFCON 1 on a constitutional crisis.
The constitutional crisis that I kept on thinking naively we would not get to is here.
That pause was Ari Melber trying to think of a rap lyric. Are we in a constitutional crisis? I don't feel like we're in a constitutional crisis. I thought the Constitution was safe at Nicolas Cage's house.
If the Supreme Court says the Trump administration is wrong, they should immediately bring the gentleman home, and shouldn't be any question. But we shouldn't even be talking about it right now.
George, I have a sincere question for you, because I've seen the photograph that you have posted of yourself hanging off the lamppost during the Civil Rights era. How does this moment in American history right now compare to what you were experiencing in that moment?
The climate of America right now is just terrible. I'm a person that teaches love, and that's all I want to see. I don't want to see all of this negative stuff.
Well, you're on the wrong show, George.
If I were in charge of this country, you know, everybody knows the first thing I would do to make everybody happy is Chick-fil-A gonna be open on Sunday. I don't give a damn. No.
We'll cover your policy points later. Michael and Alyssa, watch the clip and tell me what is the story.
All right. Oh, Indio, that's Coachella, a bunch of stoners.
No, Bernie Sanders.
So that was Indio, California, where Coachella takes place, and then we saw Gen Z superhero Bernie Sanders appearing at Coachella.
Yes, Bernie Sanders made a surprise appearance at the annual music festival last weekend, introducing Claro's Saturday night set. It's okay, I don't know who Claro is. I'm told that she's popular, so I will believe that.
Oh, it's a she.
You know what? I don't even want to put myself in that corner yet. They are an artist that is to be respected. Here's Bernie and Claro. Kind of looks like take your pop to work day. Here's Bernie tapping into the Claro-mentum.
Please give it up for Senator Bernie Sanders! We got a president of the United States who... I agree. Please welcome Claro.
They should let him introduce all the acts at Coachella. Ladies and gentlemen, Shabuzi. But this was just one stop on Bernie's Fighting Oligarchy tour that he's on with AOC. But it's not a presidential election year. It's not even a midterm year. Does anybody want this tour right now?
It seems to be resonating. They're drawing huge crowds in places like Idaho, not exactly a blue stronghold, but they've also got to look toward electoral wins. And the way that Democrats are going to win is not by running two progressives that are as far left as Bernie Sanders and AOC.
That's the advice we keep getting from Republicans. Nominate people more like us. Nominate people more like us.
Yes.
And then what do we end up with?
But with due respect, you guys nominated Kamala Harris, who spent her entire campaign...
nominated.
Okay, true. Who spent her whole campaign running away from a more progressive record to the center.
Yes, and she lost.
Here's AOC delivering some heat at one of the rallies.
Donald Trump is a criminal. And if he wants to find the rapists and criminals in this country, he should look in the mirror.
What she was saying is he's going to El Salvador.
I'm sorry, AOC. That was a great burn, but you'll never beat the all-time greatest burn on Donald Trump.
You're ducking these things. And let me tell you what's going to happen. You keep doing that, no one up here is going to call you Donald Trump anymore. We're going to call you Donald Duck.
Question. Who else stood up to the Trump administration this week?
Harvard University did. Was that the answer?
Right.
Okay.
Points. Harvard University President Alan Garber, seen here saying he wants to show you the house, but he needs to see a few more pay stubs. President Garber refused to cede to Trump's demands to make Harvard more conservative, saying that no party can tell private universities, quote, whom they can admit and hire and which areas of study and inquiry they can pursue. You would think that Trump, someone who started his own university, would have respect for the institution of education.
Yes.
Trump responded on Truth Social with a 217-word rant that said, quote, Harvard is a joke, teaches hate and stupidity, and should no longer receive federal funds. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
What, did he just send out an order? Am I supposed to do something?
With the left finally waking up a little bit, Republican lawmakers know that they need to answer for what's happening. Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley stepped up to the challenge by holding a town hall this week. Has there been a good town hall yet this year?
I did not know this man had a town hall. I have not seen a clip of it. I know for a fact it was apeshit.
So true.
Roll the clip.
What are you going to do about it? These people have been sentenced to life imprisonment in a foreign country.
You ignored my letter.
I'm pissed.
It was angry. They're like one of them, like, you know, in the civil rights movie when they don't want the black family to move in. What do you mean he's gonna play on the team? Now, we all know communication hasn't been Grassley's strong suit. Does anyone know what Chuck Grassley is infamous for?
Oh, he has hilarious tweets about the History Channel.
Grassley is infamous for his incomprehensible tweets about any and everything. Tweets like, quote, if you lost your pet pigeon, it's dead in front yard, my Iowa farm, sorry for bad news. Or, Fred and I hit a deer on Highway 136 south of Dyersville after I pulled fender rubbing on tire. We continued to farm, assumed deer dead. Or, Windsor Heights Dairy Queen is a good place for you know what. We'll be right back.